Here's what's coming up on your horizon. Well, it was Ag Week here in Oklahoma, so we spent our week taking a look at the industry. Our Andy Barth starts us off looking at how higher ag prices at the farm gate could impact the price you pay on your dinner plate.
The United States used to be a world powerhouse in wheat. We know anymore that they're not. And I think as a young producer, I sit out here and I look, wheat is probably not the most profitable crop to be growing for grain. However, in Oklahoma, we're positioned in a unique spot where we can graze livestock on that and kind of double up on some income.
I head out to the Oklahoma Panhandle to meet a grain and beef producer who's had a lifetime of success despite some worries from Mother Nature.
I don't know, you've either got to be tough or stupid to stay. You know, back in the 30s, a lot of people, the Dust Bowl and all, left here and went to California, and most of them got rich, and we stayed here, and we're still here. But
we look at the growth in the Oklahoma Ag and the classroom curriculum and meet their Teacher of the Year.
The goats produce milk for us. The goats produce hair for us. So those are things that they'll relate to and remember a lot better than just seeing a storybook once in a while.
Well, dinner's ready at Arliss Walters Farm in Stillwell, courtesy of the sun.
If you had to in your oven was heating up your house, then you've got an air conditioner problem that's got to cool the oven off. This is outside, so therefore it don't heat your house.
And we'll take you to a livestock show with more than $1 million in prizes and scholarships. And that's no bull. Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in Career Tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Rob McClendon.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on Horizon. Well, Oklahoma agriculture has seen its ups and downs over the last several years. From severe drought conditions to volatile prices, producers are faced with trying to predict an almost unpredictable market, all while putting food on our tables. Our Andy Barth hit the road this week to see how some state farmers are faring, and he joins me now.
Well, Rob, ag producers have been put through the ringer over the last several years, and consumers are now feeling it at grocery store checkout counters. Now, I met with producers and economists to see what the future holds for Oklahoma agriculture. When it comes to agriculture, Oklahoma has long been a cattle and wheat state. But with today's market fluctuations, farmers are looking for more.
We're a pretty diverse no-till operation here. We raise winter wheat, winter canola, corn, soybeans, grain sorghum, and some dry hay. For agriculture
an assorted lineup that producer Marty Williams says is necessary thanks to the falling value of wheat.
The United States used to be a world powerhouse in wheat, and we know anymore that they're not. And I think as a young producer, I sit out here and I look, wheat is probably not the most profitable crop to be growing for grain. However, in Oklahoma, we're positioned in a unique spot where we can graze livestock on that and kind of double up on some income.
Good news that Oklahoma State University's Kim Anderson says is necessary to keep bread on the table.
Producers with wheat are losing money right now at current cost. In the long run, they have to make a profit or they just won't raise the commodity and we won't have bread and flour.
And Williams says future prices remain bleak thanks to global unrest.
I think wheat as a grain is probably going to be a low price for years to come. A lot of it depends on the turmoil in Russia, Ukraine, production in Australia, droughts and such. But you know, I think it's going to be tough to sell wheat just as grain, especially in our marginal yielding land.
Yet, despite low wheat value, the cattle industry remains strong. Oklahoma State University's Darrell Peel.
We still have prices at a very high level. We did see a bit of an adjustment in most cattle prices at the end of 2014 and the first few weeks of 2015, but we're holding essentially at a record level, and we're going to be at that level for this year.
High prices brought on by low cattle numbers, a trend Peel says might be changing.
The USDA numbers for January 1 this year confirmed what we suspected, that the herd did begin expanding in 2014. The beef cow herd was up about 2%, which was actually a little stronger rate of growth than we expected. Total cattle inventory in the country is up about 1%. So, at long last, after many years of various reasons that contributed to additional liquidation, we see some herd expansion now.
An expansion that producers like Williams is excited about.
I've been a little low on cattle numbers the last few years because grain prices have been high, and I traditionally am a farmer, but this year we ramped up our cattle numbers, and it's worked for us. I'm primarily a cow-calf guy, and so the cow-calf, once you get those cows paid for, they're just working for you.
A flexible strategy in an industry that's ever-changing. Well, now many factors are in play when it comes to predicting future market prices. And as we gear up for another severe weather season here in Oklahoma, it will be interesting to see just how agriculture will be affected.
And Andy, I read that the value of the U.S. dollar is also playing into ag prices.
That's right, Rob. The value of the dollar is actually increasing now, which means that commodities like wheat are going to be increasing. Now, what that means for producers is on the trade side, they're going to be getting a lower price. But for the consumers, it's a good thing because we'll start seeing prices of things like bread and pasta getting cheaper.
All right. Thanks so much, Andy.
You're welcome, Rob.
Now, when we return, we head to the Oklahoma Panhandle to meet this year's winner of the Outstanding Achievement Award in Oklahoma Agriculture.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, the winner of this year's Outstanding Achievement Award in Agriculture has been at the forefront of the beef industry. Using the latest technology, Joe Mayer has made steady improvement in a family operation in the Oklahoma Panhandle that goes back generations. It's sunrise on the Mayer Ranch in Guyman, Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, I'm getting old, and so I don't work nearly as hard as I used to.
Yet Joe Mayer is already at his desk.
I just work here. True. Because Marianne and I's 3 kids are now on this. And so, yeah, they could fire me tomorrow, and they might, because I've been pooping off too much doing interviews instead of doing work.
But don't let his sense of humor fool you.
You'll see a few white-faced cows out here. Those are my sons. I'm not.
A certified Black Angus breeder, Mayer is as involved in the family's grain and cattle business as he ever was.
Well, we've got a lot of better cattle to raise.
Continuing a long family tradition of farming and ranching in the Oklahoma Panhandle that goes back generations.
My great-granddad came here in 1883, and I guess we're pretty dumb because we haven't left yet. We must like it, huh?
On land that's seen its share of hard times.
We have dry years quite often. I don't know, you've either got to be tough or stupid to stay. You know, back in the 30s, a lot of people, the Dust Bowl and all, left here and went to California, and most of them got rich, and we stayed here, and we're still here, but...
And it's that attitude of laughing in the face of adversity that's helped the Mayers grow their diversified operation into one of the largest and most modern in the state.
We decided years ago we was going to try to raise the very best cattle that we possibly could. And the theory is they don't eat anymore. As a matter of fact, the very best cattle will eat a little bit less. The very best cattle will hang on the rail, a carcass that will grade prime or certified Angus beef. We'll receive a premium for that, and the consumer will certainly enjoy that steak. Okay, so a heifer comes in, you shut that door, she steps up in there. We AI everything. We buy as good a cleanup bulls as we can can buy. Whoever you talk to, they've got the best cattle. I want to be able to prove I've got the best cattle, and the way you do that is by kill data and records. So we keep a lot of records, and we do all our cattle culling, all our heifer sorting, and everything else based off those records and those genetics. We are into the genetic DNA testing, genomics, a lot. We test every critter on the ranch every year.
And Mayer says by using such advanced genetics, his Angus herd has made dramatic progress.
Yeah, I'm a kind of a detail guy, and I'm kind of a numbers guy. You can go look at a bull, you can go look at two bulls. They look pretty darn similar. Maybe one's a little shinier looking than the other one. That's wonderful. But what I want to know is what's the numbers on those two bulls, and then I'll tell you which one of them I want.
But just as important as his agricultural production skills is Mayer's commitment to his family.
Well, I've got a great wife, and I got really excited about Reagan, and so there I go off all over the country giving speeches for Reagan and so on and so forth as an unpaid volunteer, and left my wife here with 3 little kids to raise. And she wasn't that excited about that, but she did it. I mean, she has helped allow me to go run around and do things like that.
And serve his community and his state on boards and task forces with the same dedication he feels for the land.
Make the world a little better place for you haven't been there. Try to build something, try to keep the family strong, try to help the community and help the state, and try to leave the world a little better place. Girls, I don't have a thing for you.
Now, in addition to Mayer's Outstanding Achievement Award, Leland Walker of Red Oak received the Outstanding Public Service Award in Agriculture for nearly 4 decades of teaching and mentoring ag instructors. While Mike Thrall, the longtime director of the Oklahoma Conservation Commission, and Dr. Bob Todashek, a well-respected OSU animal scientist and beloved teacher, were both honored at the Capitol posthumously.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon, a century of lessons learned in the livestock ring.
You know, farming and ranching and agriculture is so important to Oklahoma's economy, and this is one of the ways that we can get our youth more involved.
But first, growing ag in the classroom.
Well, here in Oklahoma, ag in the classroom is typically a supplement to other curriculum a teacher uses to teach everything from science to math, even geography and English. But one school district in Oklahoma is using a slightly different approach. J.D. Roseman has our story.
At Elk City Public Schools, Ag in the Classroom has become the curriculum. Not just a supplement, it is an elective class that lets students learn about agriculture's importance and its role in our lives.
Yeah, I need to help with my...
Crack. Weigh. Calculate. Students in Miss Hubbard's 8th grade class are learning how to calculate percentages, yet not out of a textbook. It's all hands-on. Ag in the Classroom coordinator Dana Bessinger says by allowing students to see their work, they better comprehend what they are learning.
Now, percentage is not an easy concept for kids to understand, but you saw too how fast they figure out what percentage of the pecan is edible because it was hands-on. And then at the end of it, they got to eat the pecans. Can't be better than that.
Because there's an excellent crop.
Born and raised on a farm, Hubbard was eager to use agriculture in her class on a daily basis.
Well, we started 3 years ago incorporating Ag in the Classroom into our curriculum, and it is an elective. So when I started out, the numbers were maybe 15 in a class, and as we have progressed into the years, my numbers have grown to 25, 27.
Teaching nearly 75 students and finding something shocking, even for Oklahoma.
And out of that 75, maybe 8 of them live on a farm and are exposed to agricultural products and things like that.
It's a growing concern for Elk City Middle School principal Richard Morin, and is important for towns like his.
And coming from a very strong agricultural background on both sides of my family, that you take for granted that these kids know all of the ins and outs of the things that are right here in their own backyard, and they don't.
Fewer and fewer understanding where their food comes from.
Well, we are getting so far removed, 3-4 generations removed from the farm, and kids are not understanding from where their food, their clothes, and their shelter are coming. And so they're going to be the ones that are the voting population that are going to determine how farmers and ranchers eventually raise their food. So they need to have a little bit of knowledge. So knowledge is power to me.
Daily lessons, guest speakers, and field trips are all part of Hubbard's class.
We were able to take the students to the Elk City Livestock sale. Friends of mine own that, and I was able to call them and say, hey, can I bring some rowdy kids to your sale? And they agreed, and so we've been doing that for 3 years. That's actually the highlight of Ag in the Classroom. Take them across the catwalk, and they're able to see all the different types of cattle. They have a blast doing all this. They are excited every day. What are we doing today? What are we doing today?
And excitement that will hopefully translate into an understanding of the importance of agriculture. And this new class is in demand. The principal tells us they have to turn away about 50 students a year due to not enough time in the day and budget restraints.
Want to share something you've seen here today? Well, all of our episodes are streaming on our YouTube channel at Oklahoma Horizon TV. Or you can subscribe to our weekly free podcasts on iTunes. Well, more than $1 million in prize money and scholarships were awarded at this year's Oklahoma Youth Expo. The annual Spring Livestock Show celebrated its 100th birthday while also looking back on 99 years of supporting Oklahoma's rural prosperity while also creating some of agriculture's future leaders.
You know, farming and ranching and agriculture is so important to Oklahoma's economy, and this is one of the ways that we can get our youth more involved and learning about livestock, responsibility, building character, building basically a business, and of course hopefully continuing on the wonderful tradition of family farms and ranching in the state of Oklahoma. And besides that, this livestock show also raises money for scholarships so our youth can go on to college.
Members of the Oklahoma legislature also got in on the action, if not the prize money, in their annual event that matches lawmakers with one of their constituents. Now, to see how our elected officials can handle the show ring, just head over to okhorizon.com where we have a short video of that event. Well, each year, students and teachers involved in Oklahoma's Ag in the Classroom come to the state capitol for Ag Day, where one of their own is honored as Teacher of the Year. Austin Moore introduces us.
The quiet that surrounds Coyle School and that filters down this lonely hallway in no way prepares you for the energy and excitement of Connie Whitmore's pre-K classroom.
Boys and girls, we also read a story about Peter Rabbit. Do you think this is Peter Rabbit?
This young age group really needs some hands-on things into their world. We can show them books and we can show them pictures on the computer, but it's not quite as meaningful or for them to retain the information as much if they have the hands-on experience.
Oh, that's a wee little Billy Goat Gruff, huh?
Two wee Billy Buddy
That's right.
I remember, oh yeah, we saw that was a goat. We read the story about it, and it was a pretend, but this is a real goat.
That's why today she has an additional kid in the classroom.
The goats produce milk for us. The goats produce hair for us. So those are things that they'll relate to and remember a lot better than just seeing a storybook once in a while.
Agriculture is a big part of Connie Whitmore's classroom. She uses it as a lens to introduce and reinforce every subject and discipline. Ag in the Classroom State Coordinator, Audrey Harmon, says there are additional benefits.
It's important for students to understand that farmers are working hard to grow safe and abundant food for them, and that they don't just go to Walmart to get it. Yes, they pick it up there, but there's much done before that process.
This is the issue that Ag in the Classroom was developed to tackle, and the fight teachers like Connie Whitmore have taken up across the state.
but only one of those teachers can be named Ag in the Classroom Teacher of the Year. And this year, it's Mrs. Whitmore. What do you think that is? That's a true statement. We are so blessed to have great teachers all across the state using Ag in the Classroom. They're integrating agriculture into their everyday classroom experience. And Mrs. Whitmore has a school garden here that she grows crops, and they will be growing beans soon to go along with the Princess and the Pea. They'll be growing peas, they grow strawberries, they raise corn and do the Little Red Hen story.
Hey, this little goat is a baby goat.
It is a baby goat. She's just a tiny little thing. We relate it a lot to literature, but I use it in every subject. Math, science, everything that we work on goes back to things that happen on the farm.
That is a deeply personal mission for Mrs. Whitmore, who is herself a farmer when not at school.
I'm just connecting what I know to what I love to do. So I love to teach. And it doesn't matter if I'm teaching someone at the farmer's market about what I grow and how to cook it and prepare it. It doesn't matter if I'm teaching kids in the classroom, or if I'm teaching teenagers who've come to the farm to help me work. They're connecting to the farm, and I'm helping them learn something.
Connie Whitmore, a farmer and a teacher, dedicated to growing young minds. And now, Ag in the Classroom Teacher of the Year.
You can keep up with us throughout the week. Just head to okhorizon.com, where you can see more of any of our stories, read our reporters' behind-the-scenes blogs, see what others are saying about us on Twitter, and face the facts with our regular updates. So reach out and touch us anywhere and anytime. Well, farmers and ranchers have long been known for their ingenuity, oftentimes out of necessity. On a recent shoot, we met one such gentleman and decided we needed to sit down for dinner. Joining me now is our Courtney May.
Arliss Walters is cooking dinner with a little help from the sun. Walters is the designer of his own solar cooker, and we decided to take a look. In Arliss Walters' backyard, dinner is almost ready, but he's not grilling. Taking a futuristic approach on outdoor cooking, Walters is making dinner in a solar cooker he invented.
This is free energy, doesn't cost you anything. It's renewable energy, and it's environmental safe. I think it's a good thing.
Copper tubes filled with oil attracting the sun line the sides of the solar cooker, allowing temperatures on the inside to reach up to 275 degrees. And with 3 inches of insulation, the cooker is effective year-round.
The sun comes up of a morning, it hits the side of the tubes. As it travels during the daytime, it hits the other side. And it'll get hot anytime, winter or summer.
Walters says the solar cooker will heat any recipe, and it works especially well as a slow cooker.
Makes it nice, you know, if you left out, if you put a roast in there every morning, come back a vented, the roast will be cooked. This will be warm until probably 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock tonight.
Inside, pork, apples, and baked beans are on the menu. And after a day of solar cooking, dinner is served.
Slow cooker will give you a better flavor and a more tender product, you know, like meat and stuff. If you had it in your oven was heating up your house, then you've got an air conditioner problem that's got to cool the oven off. This is outside, so therefore it don't heat your house. This is the heavy part.
Creatively conserving energy, one slow-cooked meal at a time. Now temperatures can reach as high as 275 degrees inside Walters' solar cooker.
Now, I understand that he believes the solar cooker could also have some uses in the developing world.
Yes, the solar cooker can purify water, so Walters believes that it could be helpful in developing countries with making water drinkable, and it's also energy efficient.
All right, thanks so much, Court.
You're welcome, Rob.
Now, if you'd like to see Walter's other passion, just head to okhorizon.com, where we have a piece on Walter's heritage turkeys in our value-added section. Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we'll show you how unmanned aerial vehicles may soon be flying some friendlier skies.
The FAA currently manages the airspace, but they do so with only one thing in mind, and that's safety. And if you're going to suddenly bring new airframes in that simply don't have pilots that can see, there's going to be a problem. So you have to fix them with technology.
Plus, we'll introduce you to a coy cowboy who's not shy about raising goldfish. From Oklahoma Show over the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Well, that is going to wrap us up for today, but you can see more of any of our stories on our website at okhorizon.com. You can listen to us on the go with our weekly podcasts on iTunes. Follow us throughout the week on Twitter at OKHorizonTV, or just become a Horizon fan on Facebook. I'm Rob McClendon. Thanks for including us in your day. Hope to see you back here next week.
Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. Copies of today's show are available on our website, okhorizon.com. Thank you for watching Oklahoma Horizon.